Have you ever tried to make a big change in your life only to find that, despite your best efforts, the change didn't stick? Maybe you set a goal to lose weight, get fit, read more, or be more productive at work, but somehow your old habits pulled you back. You're not alone. The truth is, massive success and failure don't usually come from big, dramatic actions. Instead, they are often the result of tiny habits that compound over time. This is the core idea behind James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, a book that has helped millions of people around the world unlock the power of small, consistent changes. But what exactly are atomic habits? The word atomic means small, like an atom, but it also means something powerful and fundamental. Clear argues that if you want to create lasting change in your life, you need to start with small, almost unnoticeable habits that may seem insignificant on their own, but when repeated consistently over time, can lead to remarkable results. In the book, Clear explains that success doesn't come from making giant leaps, it comes from making tiny improvements. The concept of 1% better every day is a perfect example of this. If you get 1% better at something every day, those small gains will compound into significant improvements over time. So instead of focusing on massive goals that might feel overwhelming, Atomic Habits encourages us to focus on small habits that are easy to do. When we make small habits a part of our daily routine, they eventually snowball into something much bigger. Throughout this video, we're going to explore some of the most powerful ideas from Atomic Habits, from the science of how habits work, to practical strategies for building good habits and breaking bad ones. By the end, you'll have the tools you need to make lasting changes in your life, one small habit at a time. So let's dive into the world of atomic habits and discover how the smallest actions can lead to the biggest transformations. Now that we've introduced the idea of atomic habits, let's talk about why small habits are so powerful. When we think about making changes in our lives, it's easy to focus on the big goals, losing 20 pounds, running a marathon, writing a book. But these big goals can feel overwhelming, and often they lead to frustration and burnout. What James Clear teaches us in Atomic Habits is that the key to lasting success isn't in massive changes, it's in making small, incremental improvements every day. Clear explains that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. These actions, though they may seem insignificant in the moment, accumulate over time. Imagine that you want to become healthier. Instead of focusing on losing 20 pounds in a month, Clear would suggest starting with something small, like drinking 1 glass of water first thing in the morning or taking a short walk after lunch. These actions may not lead to immediate, visible results, but over time, they compound and their impact grows. This is where the concept of compounding comes into play. Just like money compounding in a bank account, small habits compound as well. If you improve by just 1% every day, those tiny improvements add up over time to massive changes. As Clear puts it, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Imagine you get 1% better each day at a certain skill. Maybe it's reading, exercising, or even saving money. Over a year, that 1% improvement compounds to nearly 38 times better. That's a significant shift that comes from small, consistent actions. On the flip side, if you get 1% worse each day, it works the same way but in the opposite direction. Bad habits can compound just as easily as good ones, leading you away from the life you want to create. This is why focusing on small, positive habits every day is so important. Clear emphasizes that small habits are the building blocks of meaningful change. They're easy to start, easy to repeat, and they build momentum over time. It's not about being perfect or making drastic changes overnight. It's about showing up consistently and trusting that those small efforts will compound into something greater. So instead of setting a massive goal that feels intimidating, start with something small. Ask yourself, what's the smallest action I can take today that will move me in the direction of my goals? Remember, the power of small habits lies in their ability to create lasting change over time. Success is not a result of one-time actions. It's the outcome of habits that are repeated day after day, even when the results aren't immediately visible. As we move forward in this video, we'll explore how you can create these small habits using the 4 laws of behavior change, and how these tiny shifts can lead to powerful transformations in your life. Picture this. Every time you walk into your kitchen, your eyes land on a bowl of fruit sitting on the counter. You weren't planning on eating a snack, but without even thinking, you grab an apple and take a bite. In that moment, you've just experienced a behavior change, one that started long before you even noticed that apple. In Atomic Habits, James Clear introduces us to the 4 laws of behavior change, 4 principles that can help you design habits that actually stick. These laws don't just explain why you picked up that apple, they offer a roadmap for creating habits that will transform your life, one action at a time. The first law is make it obvious. The habits that are easiest to stick with are the ones we can see clearly. Think of it this way. Our environment is the invisible hand that shapes our behavior. If you want to make a habit stick, you need to design your environment in a way that nudges you toward that habit. Want to start flossing? Put your floss right next to your toothbrush, front and center. Want to drink more water? Keep a full bottle of water at your desk, always within arm's reach. When your cues are clear, your habits follow naturally. But there's more to it than just visibility. Enter the second law, make it attractive. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So how can you make a habit more appealing? One strategy is to pair the habit with something you already enjoy. Let's say you want to start reading more. Pair your reading time with your favorite cup of tea or listen to a great audiobook while you take a relaxing walk. By making your habits more enjoyable, you'll find yourself drawn to them again and again. Now, even the most attractive habits can feel daunting if they seem too difficult to start. That's why the third law is make it easy. This is where the magic of small habits truly shines. The key is to lower the barrier to entry to make starting so easy that it feels almost effortless. Want to start running? Don't start with a 5-mile run. Start by simply putting on your running shoes and stepping out the door. If you can break down your habit into its smallest, simplest form, you'll be much more likely to do it consistently. And remember, habits aren't built in a day, they're built through repetition. Finally, we come to the 4th law. Make it satisfying. Every habit we stick with gives us some kind of reward. The more immediate and satisfying that reward, the more likely we are to repeat the habit. This could be as simple as checking off your progress on a habit tracker or giving yourself a small treat after completing a task. The more satisfying the habit feels, the more it will embed itself into your daily routine. But here's the twist, these laws don't just help you build good habits. They also work in reverse when you want to break a bad habit. To break a habit, you need to make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Want to stop checking your phone every 5 minutes? Make it invisible by putting it in another room. Make it unattractive by turning off notifications. Make it difficult by locking it in a drawer. And make it unsatisfying by removing any reward you associate with it. The 4 laws of behavior change are like a blueprint for mastering your habits, both good and bad. But the real power comes when you take control, when you actively design your environment, your rewards, and your routines to support the person you want to become. So the question isn't, can I change my habits? It's, how will I design the habits that will change me? Imagine you're walking down a familiar path. You've traveled this route so many times that your feet almost glide along effortlessly, guided by muscle memory. Now imagine that you want to build a new habit, like forging a new path in the same forest. But rather than starting from scratch, you simply branch off from your well-worn trail, taking just a few small steps in a new direction. That's the power of habit stacking. Habit stacking is like connecting new actions to the habits you already do every day. It's a clever way to anchor your new habits to routines that are already part of your life. This technique makes building new habits almost seamless, because you're not starting from nothing, you're building off something you already know. James Clear explains that one of the easiest ways to create a new habit is to stack it on top of an existing one. For example, let's say you already brush your teeth every morning. This is a habit that's deeply ingrained in your routine. Now, let's say you want to start meditating for a few minutes each day. You could stack the new habit onto the old one by saying, after I brush my teeth in the morning, I will meditate for 2 minutes. The brushing of your teeth acts as the cue, and before you know it, the new habit slides naturally into place. The beauty of habit stacking is that it leverages the momentum of your existing habits. It's like attaching a new train car to an engine that's already rolling along the tracks. And the more you stack habits together, the more powerful your routine becomes. Suddenly, your day becomes a smooth flow of productive actions, each one triggered by the one before it. But habit stacking alone doesn't always solve the challenge of getting started, especially when the habit feels like a big leap. This is where the 2-minute rule comes in. Picture this. You want to start a new habit, but every time you think about it, it feels daunting. The task looms over you, too big to tackle. The 2-minute rule is here to change that. This rule is simple. When you're trying to form a new habit, scale it down to an action that can be completed in 2 minutes or less. Why 2 minutes? Because 2 minutes is easy, it's approachable, it's not intimidating. Want to start reading more? Don't set a goal of reading for an hour, set a goal of reading 1 page. Want to get in shape? Don't commit to a full workout, just start by putting on your running shoes. The trick is to make starting the habit so simple that it feels almost impossible not to do it. Here's the magic. Once you've started the habit, even in its smallest form, you often end up doing more than you planned. You tell yourself you'll read just 1 page, but before you know it, you've read for 15 minutes. You commit to putting on your running shoes, and suddenly you're out the door, running for miles. The 2-minute rule is about lowering the resistance to starting, and once you're in motion, momentum tends to carry you forward. Think of the 2-minute rule like lighting a match. The match itself is small, but it has the potential to ignite something much larger. By breaking down habits into bite-sized actions, you're making it easier to spark a flame of momentum. When you combine the 2-minute rule with habit stacking, you create a powerful system for building new routines. You're not just relying on willpower, you're engineering your habits in a way that makes them almost automatic. You're linking your habits to actions you already do, and you're making them so easy to start that they don't feel like a challenge at all. In the end, it's not about how grand the habit is, it's about how consistently you can start. Because once you start, the habit takes on a life of its own. And over time, those 2-minute efforts add up, stacking on top of each other like bricks in a foundation, creating something strong, something lasting, something that truly transforms your life. Let's be real for a moment. Building habits isn't always a smooth, upward journey. There will be times when your progress slows down, or worse, feels like it's grinding to a halt. You might hit what James Clear calls the plateau of latent potential, a period where, despite all your efforts, it feels like nothing is happening. You know the feeling. You've been going to the gym for weeks, but the numbers on the scale aren't moving. You've been practicing a new skill every day, but you still don't feel any closer to mastery. This is the moment when most people give up. But here's the thing. This plateau is not a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're building something deeper, something that's yet to fully reveal itself. James Clear compares this phase to bamboo growth. For years, bamboo plants grow their roots underground, invisible to the eye. And then, seemingly overnight, they shoot up at an incredible speed, growing several feet in just a matter of days. But here's the catch. The sudden growth above ground only happens because of the years of unseen growth below the surface. The same is true for your habits. The progress might be invisible for a while, but every small action is a root stretching out, deepening your foundation. And just when you think you've hit a wall, that's when breakthroughs often occur. Your progress is accumulating, even if you can't see it yet. So how do you push through this plateau? The answer is in embracing the process. Shift your focus away from the results and place it on the daily actions, the habits themselves. Instead of measuring success by how far you've come, measure it by how consistently you show up. Success isn't always about visible results. It's about persistence. Another challenge you may face is falling off track. Life happens. Maybe you get sick, or work gets busy, or something unexpected throws you off your routine. Missing a day or two is normal, but the key is to never miss twice. If you miss a day, get back to it the next day. One missed day is a small bump in the road. 2 missed days can start to create a new, unwanted habit. Clear teaches us that what separates people who succeed from those who don't isn't that the successful people never fail. It's that when they do fail, they get back on track as quickly as possible. They recognize that failure is not a permanent state, it's just a moment, a brief detour. And with the right mindset, it's a detour that can guide you back on course, stronger than before. Let's not forget the role of resilience. The ability to bounce back from challenges, to persist through difficulty, is one of the greatest predictors of long-term success. But resilience isn't just about toughing it out, it's about adapting. When you hit a wall, ask yourself, what can I adjust? Maybe you need to tweak the habit, make it smaller, or find new ways to make it enjoyable again. Be flexible with your approach, but firm in your commitment. Finally, remember that the process of building habits is about progress, not perfection. The goal isn't to be perfect every day, it's to be consistent over time. Progress might be slow and setbacks might happen, but every small step counts. Your habits are like seeds planted in fertile soil, and with patience, they will grow into something far larger than what you started with. When challenges arise, and they will embrace them as part of the journey. It's in these moments that you're building not just habits, but character. Every time you push through a plateau, every time you get back up after falling off track, you're reinforcing the most important habit of all, the habit of perseverance. So as you continue on this journey, remind yourself, it's not about being perfect, it's about showing up day after day, even when the results are invisible. Because progress isn't always something you see. It's something you feel deep in the roots, waiting for the right moment to break through. If I asked you, who are you? How would you answer? You might start by listing your job title, your hobbies, or maybe even your relationships. But what if I told you that who you are, the core of your identity, can be shaped, molded, and transformed by your habits? James Clear introduces us to an incredibly powerful idea. Habits are more than just behaviors, they are expressions of your identity. The strongest habits don't just change what you do, they change how you see yourself. Let me explain. Every time you repeat a habit, you reinforce a specific identity. If you go to the gym regularly, you're not just someone who exercises, you're becoming the kind of person who takes care of their health. If you read a few pages of a book every night, you're not just reading, you're shaping the identity of a reader. Clear puts it simply, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Your habits are casting ballots in the election of your identity. And the more votes you cast in favor of a particular identity, the more you start to believe deep down that this is who you are. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people set goals based on what they want to achieve: lose 20 pounds, write a book, run a marathon. But if you want lasting change, you need to focus not on the outcome, but on the identity behind it. Instead of saying, I want to lose weight, say, I want to become the kind of person who makes healthy choices. Instead of saying, I want to write a book, say, I want to be a writer. When you shift your focus from outcomes to identity, you unlock a new level of motivation. You're no longer working toward a goal that's somewhere off in the distance. You're living out your identity with every small habit you perform. You're becoming that person one step at a time. And here's the magic. Once you believe in a new identity, the habits that align with that identity become easier to stick with. You're no longer trying to force yourself to act a certain way. Instead, you're acting in alignment with who you believe yourself to be. You're not just someone who occasionally runs, you're a runner. You're not just someone who sometimes eats healthy, you're someone who values wellness. But it doesn't stop there. Changing your identity through habits is a two-way street. Yes, your habits shape your identity, but your identity also shapes your habits. When you start to see yourself as a certain type of person, you naturally begin to act in ways that reinforce that identity. You build a feedback loop of positive reinforcement. The more you act in alignment with your identity, the stronger that identity becomes, and the easier it is to keep those habits going. Think of it like sculpting a statue. Each small habit is like a chisel stroke, slowly revealing the identity you want to create. It may not happen overnight, but with each repetition, you're carving away the pieces that don't fit and uncovering the person you want to be. This is why small habits are so powerful. They're not just actions, they're affirmations of who you are becoming. They're proof that you're capable of change, and that change begins on the level of identity. So ask yourself, who do you want to become? What kind of person do you want to be? Once you know the answer, start voting for that identity with every small habit you build. Each time you show up, you're casting another vote for the person you wish to be. And over time, those votes add up. They don't just change what you do, they change who you are. In the end, habits are not about achieving a specific goal. They're about becoming someone new. The journey of habit formation is really a journey of self-discovery. It's about unlocking the person you always have the potential to be, one small step at a time. Imagine walking into a room that is perfectly set up to support your goals. Everything you need is right there, easy to access, easy to see, and most importantly, easy to use. Now imagine another room cluttered, chaotic, filled with distractions and temptations that lead you away from your best intentions. Which room do you think would make it easier to build good habits? In Atomic Habits, James Clear reminds us that our environment is one of the most powerful best places to start is by changing your surroundings. You might think that willpower alone can help you form good habits, but the truth is, willpower is often no match for the cues and triggers embedded in your environment. Clear puts it simply, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. We often underestimate how much our surroundings impact the choices we make. But here's the good news: by deliberately designing your environment, you can make it easier to build good habits and harder to maintain bad ones. Let's break this down into two parts: optimizing your environment for good habits and disrupting your environment to break bad habits. First, think about optimizing your environment for the habits you want to build. This means making your cues obvious, accessible, and in line with your goals. Want to eat healthier? Place a bowl of fresh fruit on the kitchen counter instead of hiding it in the fridge. Want to read more? Keep a book next to your bed so it's the first thing you see when you wake up or go to sleep. The easier it is to see and access the things that support your good habits, the more likely you are to follow through. It's not just about what you see, though it's also about the feel of the space. Does your environment make you want to engage in the habit? For example, if you want to work out more at home, create a space that feels inviting. Have your workout clothes ready, your equipment easily accessible, and maybe even add a bit of music or a motivational poster to inspire you. Your environment should invite you in, not push you away. Now, let's flip the coin and talk about disrupting your environment to break bad habits. If you want to reduce distractions or bad behaviors, you need to make the cues harder to reach. Want to stop checking your phone during work? Place it in another room, or at least out of sight, maybe even in a drawer. Out of sight, out of mind really works when it comes to habits. Want to stop snacking late at night? Don't keep junk food on the kitchen counter stored in a cupboard or somewhere less convenient. The key here is that you're not relying on willpower to resist temptation. You're creating an environment where temptation isn't even on the table. When your environment doesn't support bad habits, you're less likely to engage in them. Instead, you're creating spaces that help you build habits effortlessly, simply because they've been made easier to do. One of the fascinating things Claire points out is that even small changes in your environment can have big impacts. You don't need to redesign your entire house, you just need to tweak a few key areas. These small changes might seem trivial at first, but they can lead to significant shifts in your daily habits over time. Think about the places where you spend the most time: your home, your workspace, your car. What small changes could you make to these environments that would encourage your good habits? Maybe it's as simple as rearranging your desk to reduce clutter and make space for more productive work. Maybe it's placing healthier snacks in the front of your fridge and less healthy ones in the back. Whatever it is, the goal is to create an environment that makes the habits you want easy and the habits you don't want hard. It's also important to remember that environments extend beyond physical spaces. They include the people you surround yourself with. 2. If your social environment is filled with people who support and encourage your good habits, you're far more likely to succeed. Surround yourself with people who embody the habits you want to adopt, and you'll find that their influence helps guide you in the right direction. Ultimately, environment design is about putting yourself in a position to succeed, not just through motivation or willpower, but through practical and intentional changes to the spaces around you. When you build an environment that supports your best self, your habits will follow naturally. So take a look around you. What does your environment say about your habits? And more importantly, how can you redesign it to say something new? Imagine trying to navigate a new city without a map. You might wander around for a while, hoping to stumble upon your destination. But without clear directions, you'd likely get lost along the way. Now imagine having a map that not only shows you the route, but also tracks your progress, helping you stay on course every step of the way. That's exactly what habit tracking does. It gives you a clear visual map of your progress. In Atomic Habits, James Clear explains that tracking your habits is one of the simplest, yet most powerful tools for building consistency and momentum. Habit tracking isn't complicated. In its simplest form, it's just a way to measure whether or not you completed your desired habit each day. It could be as easy as checking off a box on a calendar, crossing off a day in a journal, or using a habit tracking app on your phone. The point is, when you track your habits, you're creating a visual cue that reinforces your progress. Why is this so effective? Because our brains love rewards, and checking off a habit feels like a small win. That small win creates a sense of accomplishment, and that feeling pushes you to keep going. Clear calls this the power of small wins, and it's one of the reasons why habit tracking works so well. Every time you check off a day, you're building a little bit of momentum, and that momentum helps carry you forward. But habit tracking does more than just give you a motivational boost. It also creates accountability. When you track your habits, you're creating a record of your commitment. That record makes it harder to justify skipping a day or falling off track because it's there, staring back at you, reminding you of the work you've already put in. And let's face it, when you've got a streak going, there's nothing quite like the satisfaction of not wanting to break it. Clear introduces us to a simple but powerful rule. Don't break the chain. Each time you complete a habit, you mark it down, creating a chain of consecutive days. Over time, the chain grows longer, and the longer it gets, the more motivated you are to keep it going. The idea is to focus not just on doing the habit, but on maintaining the streak. When you're tracking your progress, you're not just building habits, you're building a record of success. But tracking isn't just about maintaining momentum, it also provides valuable feedback. When you track your habits, you can look back and see patterns. You might notice, for example, that you're more consistent with certain habits on weekdays, but struggle on weekends. Or maybe you're better at sticking with a habit when you do it at a specific time of day. This kind of data helps you identify what's working and where you might need to make adjustments. Now, it's important to keep in mind that habit tracking should be simple. You don't need to track every tiny detail, just the basics. Did you do the habit today? Yes or no? It's that straightforward. The goal is to make tracking easy, so it becomes a part of your routine, not a chore. And if you ever miss a day, don't panic. Missing one day won't undo your progress, but as Clear reminds us, the key is to never miss twice. One skip day is just a blip on the radar, but 2 skip days can start to form a new, unwanted habit. Tracking helps keep you mindful of this and encourage you to get back on track quickly. Habit tracking also ties into the deeper principle of identity that we talked about earlier. Each time you track a habit, you're casting another vote for the person you want to become. You're proving to yourself in a concrete way that you are someone who shows up consistently and does the work. Over time, this record of success reinforces your identity and strengthens your belief in your ability to change. So whether you're using a simple paper calendar, an app on your phone, or even a notebook by your bed, tracking your habits is one of the most effective ways to stay consistent. It's a way to create visible proof of your progress, build momentum, and most importantly, hold yourself accountable to the person you want to become. At the end of the day, tracking your habits isn't just about checking off boxes, it's about celebrating your wins, big or small, and recognizing that every little step forward counts. Your habits are your path, and tracking them is your map. So take a look at your progress, celebrate how far you've come, and keep building the chain, one day at a time. Imagine you're standing at the starting line of a race. But this isn't an ordinary race, it's one you've been preparing for with months of small, consistent habits. You look to your left and you see a friend cheering you on. You look to your right and there's someone you've been training with right by your side. It's in these moments you realize that the journey you've been on hasn't been a solo race. It's been shared with others, each playing a vital role in keeping you on track. In Atomic Habits, James Clear emphasizes that while habits are personal, they are often shaped by the people around us. This concept is known as social influence, and it's one of the most powerful drivers of our behaviors. Whether we realize it or not, the people we surround ourselves with have a profound impact on our actions, both good and bad. Think about it. We tend to adopt the habits of the people we spend the most time with. If you're surrounded by friends who regularly work out, eat healthy, or prioritize personal growth, you're more likely to adopt those same behaviors. On the other hand, if your social circle tends to engage in habits that aren't aligned with your goals, like procrastination or unhealthy eating, it becomes more challenging to stick to positive habits. This is why accountability is such a powerful tool for habit formation. When we hold ourselves accountable to others, we're not just motivated by our own willpower, we're motivated by the expectations of the people we care about. One of the most effective ways to build strong habits is to enlist the help of a friend, family member, or even a group of like-minded individuals. Clear explains that when you're accountable to someone else, you're more likely to follow through because you don't want to let them down. It's human nature. We're wired to seek approval and validation from our peers, and accountability taps into that natural desire. But accountability isn't just about external pressure. It's about having someone who believes in you and your goals. It's about having a partner who shares your vision and is committed to helping you succeed. This could be as simple as checking in with a friend at the end of each week to share your progress, or as structured as joining a fitness class or book club where everyone is working toward a common goal. Clear introduces the idea of an accountability partner, someone who can hold you to your commitments and encourage you along the way. Your accountability partner could be a friend with similar goals, or it could be someone who simply wants to see you succeed. What's important is that they check in with you regularly, ask about your progress, and provide encouragement when you need it most. Let's not forget the power of community. When you join a group with people who share your goals and values, the group's norms start to shape your behavior. This is the power of social influence at work. Being part of a community of runners makes you more likely to run. Being part of a group that values learning makes you more likely to read and study. The collective momentum of the group can propel you forward, even when your personal motivation dips. Clear talks about the power of identity-based habits within groups. When you're part of a group that embodies the identity you aspire to, whether it's a team of athletes, a circle of creative writers, or a community of entrepreneurs, you naturally begin to adopt the habits that align with that identity. This is the power of social proof. When you see people around you acting in a way that reflects your goals, you're more likely to follow suit. But social influence can also be a double-edged sword. If you're surrounded by people who don't support your goals, who discourage you from pursuing your habits, it can be much harder to stay consistent. This is why it's crucial to be intentional about the people you let into your inner circle. Surround yourself with those who lift you up, who inspire you, and who share your vision for growth. Accountability doesn't just make you more likely to stick to your habits, it makes the journey more enjoyable. When you share your wins, your struggles, and your progress with others, you create a sense of camaraderie. You're not just walking the path alone. You're walking it alongside others who are cheering you on and celebrating your success. So, how can you incorporate accountability into your habit-building journey? Start by identifying someone who can be your accountability partner. Make sure they understand your goals and are willing to check in with you regularly. Or better yet, find a group of people who share your goals and join them on the journey. Whether it's a fitness class, a mastermind group, or a creative circle, surround yourself with people who reinforce the habits you want to build. In the end, habits aren't just about what you do, they're about who you surround yourself with. The people around you shape your behaviors, your mindset, and ultimately your success. So choose wisely, seek out those who uplift you, and let the power of accountability and social influence propel you toward your goals. By now, you've explored the many layers of habit building, how tiny actions compound over time, how your identity shapes your habits, and how your environment and community influence your behavior. But there's one last piece of the puzzle that ties it all together: the pursuit of continuous improvement. In Atomic Habits, James Clear reminds us that the journey doesn't end with achieving a single goal. True success is about embracing the process of getting better bit by bit every single day. It's about striving for 1% improvement, not just in your habits, but in your mindset, your health, your relationships, and every corner of your life. The beauty of the 1% improvement philosophy is that it's never overwhelming. It's not about overnight transformations or giant leaps forward. It's about the small, deliberate steps you take day after day, knowing that each one brings you closer to becoming the person you want to be. But continuous improvement isn't just about adding new habits. It's also about refining the ones you already have. The habits you've built today will evolve as you do. As you grow, your goals will shift, and so will your habits. That's the beauty of this journey. It's flexible, adaptable, and lifelong. Clear teaches us that the secret to lasting change isn't perfection, it's persistence. It's the ability to show up, even when you don't feel like it. It's the willingness to learn from setbacks and the commitment to keep moving forward, no matter how small the steps may seem. And here's something profound to remember. Your habits are never neutral. Every action you take is either moving you closer to the life you want or pulling you further away. This awareness gives you the power to choose your direction each day. But let's step back for a moment and reflect on the bigger picture. The habits you build are not just about personal growth. They ripple out into every aspect of your life. They affect how you show up for others, how you contribute to your community, and how you leave your mark on the world. Each tiny habit is like a drop of water in a vast ocean, creating ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. You may not realize the full impact of your habits today, but over time, their effects will shape not only your life, but the lives of those around you. Think of the person you were a year ago, 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago. How have your habits shaped the path you're on? Now imagine the person you'll be a year from now, 5 years from now, or even further into the future. Every habit you build today lays the foundation for that person's life. So, what does this mean for you? It means that the journey of continuous improvement is never truly finished, and that's a good thing. Life is about growth, discovery, and evolution. As you pursue your goals and build your habits, remember to celebrate your progress along the way. Each small win, each step forward, is a victory worth recognizing. But also remember that improvement is not a race. There's no finish line where everything suddenly clicks into place. Instead, it's about enjoying the process of getting better, embracing the ups and downs, and finding fulfillment in the pursuit of excellence. James Clear encourages us to adopt a mindset of lifelong learning, a mindset where we see every day as an opportunity to refine, adjust, and improve. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about becoming a little bit better than you were yesterday, and trusting that over time, those small improvements will add up to something extraordinary. In the end, the habits you build today are not just about achieving a single goal, they're about shaping the person you want to become. They're about laying the groundwork for a life of purpose, fulfillment, and growth. And with each habit you cultivate, you're not just improving yourself, you're leaving a legacy of continuous improvement for others to follow. So, as we come to the end of this series, I invite you to embrace the journey ahead. Keep building, keep growing, and keep striving for that 1% improvement every day. Because in the end, it's not the destination that matters, it's the person you become along the way. As we bring this journey to a close, let's take a moment to reflect, not just on the lessons we've learned, but on the path that lies ahead. Habits at their core are more than actions we repeat. They are the quiet, powerful force that shapes who we become. Each small habit is like a seed planted in the soil of your life, waiting to grow into something beautiful, something lasting. But the real beauty of this journey is not in the habits themselves, it's in the transformation they bring. It's in the quiet moments when you realize that the person you've been working so hard to become is no longer a distant dream, but a reflection you see in a mirror each day. Every small, deliberate action is a step toward becoming that person. Every choice, every moment of effort is a way of telling yourself, I am worth it. I am capable of change. Remember, my friend, that this journey of self-improvement is not a sprint, it's a dance. It's filled with moments of grace and moments of struggle, with steps forward and stumbles along the way. But each step, no matter how small, carries you closer to the life you've envisioned for yourself. And that's something to be proud of. As you continue to build your habits, let go of the need for perfection. Embrace the imperfections, the setbacks, and the challenges as part of the story you're writing. It's not about getting everything right, it's about showing up for yourself day after day, with patience and compassion for the person you are becoming. And know this, you are not alone on this path. Every person who strives for growth, who works to improve themselves little by little, is walking beside you. We are all part of this shared human journey, learning, growing, and evolving together. So as you move forward, take with you the understanding that your habits are not just about the tasks you complete, they are about the life you are creating. Each day, you are planting seeds for a future that is uniquely yours, filled with the potential you've always held inside. Keep going, my friend. Keep growing. Keep believing in the power of small actions and their ability to create something extraordinary. The best version of yourself is waiting just ahead, and with every step you take, you're moving closer to that reality. This is your journey, your story, and it's unfolding in beautiful, unpredictable ways. Trust in it, and trust in yourself. The best is yet to come.